in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
Good evening and welcome to Sports Extraordinary here on Atlantic Television Network. My name is Temple. Today on the show, we'll take a look at the European scene where it is now done and dusted in the group stages of the competition, and of course we'll do some review and statistics of how far the race has been for the 24 teams, participating in this year's Euros. Not also forgetting that. The new coach, the issue of who becomes the new coach of the Super Eagles is still in the front burner. And of course, we'll dive into Europe where Conte is speaking tough ahead of the new season in the Serie A. All this will form the bulk of conversation here this evening on Sports Extraordinary. Please don't go anywhere. Alright, welcome back. It's Sports Extraordinary here on Atlantic Television Network, and I have my colleague Emmanuel Michael joins to bring you all the scintillating stories in sports this evening. Mr. Mike, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you, Tempo, and good evening to our viewers. There was always a pleasure talking sports in this cool evening here in the city of Port Harcourt.
Of course, it's a lovely evening here, and of course, we'll start from the preparation. Mike, we're already counting down. We are done with the national trials. We are done with the Africa Senior Championship in Douala. From the stories we've heard, what would be your general, input on how the organization of tournament should be when you look at what we saw at the national trials and what we saw in Douala? Way forward for the preparation of, because we're looking, this is an Olympic year, we're looking forward to the glamour, the beauty of what we're going to see in Paris. What can we learn, local organizers learn in that regard?
I think it's very simple. They need to go back and look into the All-African game that was hosted a few months ago at Ghana. We saw a near perfect, facilities and organizational structures on ground, and the All-African game out there in Ghana, where most of the track were right on point. The pitches as well were renovated. Those ones that need some new fresh air, that need some touches, were also done. And when you get to watch such event with a colorful, pitches and tracks out there, it add more glamour to the competition. So I think, countries like Cameroon, because looking at what we saw at the just concluded African Championship out there in Douala, Cameroon, it wasn't funny at all, because I tell you the standard was very, very poor. The level of facilities on ground, very, very poor as well. Organizational structure disjointed. And for me, I think it's a shame and embarrassing to the whole of Africa, and not just Cameroon itself. And it's the reason why some of the athletes, which include the Nigerian athlete as well, who also pulled out or failed to take part in some of the competition out there, citing a lack of proper organizational structure, lack of proper facilities on ground, and all of that. So I think that other countries, Cameroon to be precise, should also take a cue from what we experience out there. In the just concluded game at the All-African game in Ghana, then again, the impeccable organizational structure we saw at the African Cup of Nations far away in Ivory Coast is one of the best that will go down in the annals of history as one of the best organized competition that even received thumbs up from renowned coaches all across the globe, coaches like Jose Mourinho, even some sport pundits as well, who also bared their mind about the last African Cup of Nations in Ivory Coast. So these are some of the highlights that I think, just think that the Athletic Federation of Nigeria, CAF, and every other sporting strata should also look into. Whenever we want to award the hosting right to any of this country, be it All-African Game, be it All-African Athletic Championship, be it the African Cup of Nations, be it the CAF Champions League, I think the authority should take a close look at some of these countries, the facilities on ground. They should send their delegate to peruse through the facilities on ground and see if actually meet with the standard required to host such a magnificent competition before awarding such hosting right to such country. Because I believe if proper checks and balances were done before the African game, rather before the African Championship Athletics that took place in Douala, I think if proper work was done, I do not think that the authorities should have awarded Cameroon the hosting rights, seeing that all the facilities were not in place. The local organizing committee didn't do it.
But I mean, so, to some extent, will you really blame the authorities, or for awarding? Because when you look at the All-African Games, the success, one would have expected ordinarily that Cameroon should have done more better, in achieving the level. When you look at what has happened in Africa in recent time, generally in sports, you think that, I mean, they should have learned. So now that we have seen this now, what is the way forward for in future organization? How should the bidding be done? What would be your advice in the area of bidding for tournaments like this?
My advice is very simple. If you know that you don't have the proper facilities on ground and meet up with a standard competition, there's no need of you bidding to host such competition. I know most times some of these countries that do not have the required facilities to host some of these major competitions are there, just want to push to get the hosting right, because you take a look at the tourism angle of it, they are going to benefit a lot, and a whole lot of things is going to happen for positive in their economy, because people will be flying all across the globe, all across Africa down to such country, and that attracts a whole lot of different investment and also adds to their GDP. So these are some of the reasons why even countries that doesn't have the required standard of facility to host such major competition always want to bid for it, because they know they are going to benefit a lot. But that should not be the standard for us here. And that is why I said earlier that every sporting organization right here in Africa, be it CAF organized competition, be it African Cup of Nations, be it the All-African Game, be it the Nuga game as well, the authorities should, as a matter of fact, put their nose on ground and do proper check, fact-finding, before awarding such hosting right to some of those countries. We know there in North Africa, we know countries like Egypt, Algeria, Tunisia, then possibly South Africa as well. They have proper facility that can actually meet, the world standard, or the standard which is, very befitting. But many times it's discovered that the politicking within the system doesn't allow this hosting right to go to some of these countries. But for me, I just feel that if you know that a country has what it takes, it has the facility, organizational structures on ground as well to host such, even if it takes such country to host it consecutively for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 10 years, I think there will be no fault in that. That will also put other countries who does not have such facility to start working on developing their facilities so as to meet up with such country, because they will be more like the envy to other countries as well. So for me, it doesn't take the fact that maybe you just want to bid and host the country because of the economic benefit. You must also meet with the required standards. So if it takes any country that have the proper standard, the proper facilities in place, if it takes them 10 years to continue to host such event consistently, I think I will have no issue with that, so long as they have met the standard, the criteria to hosting such competition, and that will keep other countries on their toe to also want to improve on their facilities as well. So for me, I think that is the way to go.
That is the way to go. My only concern with that is, we've seen in the African Cup of Nations, we are some countries, you know, in football, the Confederation of African Football Board has said if you do not have the standard stadium, and they kept to it, Musepe has kept to it, you go and play your this elsewhere. So the revenue that should accrue to your country goes elsewhere. You go pay for the stadium that you're going to use in other. For example, the Squares of Benin Republic against Nigeria, you know, they had to pay for the stadium in Ivory Coast for them to host against Nigeria. So, but then that consistency we have seen. But in the in the return, do you think that will spoil the teams, you know, or to spoil the countries to say, okay, let's take a challenge. Let's get one stadium that is CAF FIFA approved. Because I mean, if consistently we have seen, like Morocco in the ladies continues to host that particular one. In basketball, we have seen Rwanda and Dakar continues to host, you know. But would that push other countries? Would other countries take? Do you think that will engineer the challenge? Will it resonate that feeling of we are challenged to also have a house? I'm just thinking in that direction.
It is what I said earlier, that hosting rights should be given to countries that have the proper...
No, that's what I'm saying. Will it?
It will, because, for example, you just mentioned the Squares of Benin Republic. They paid a heavy amount of money to Ivory Coast to use that stadium, and they know they lost. There's a whole lot of economic loss that you know, they accrued from that, because you take a look at their opponent. We will not go there for free. You have to pay your flight tickets. You have to lodge somewhere. You have to eat. So these are some of the things that brings the economic benefits. So to them, they knew the benefit of this thing. It's just that they cannot help it, and that is why they went to pay outside. But for me, if they have paid outside, they'll now take a look at it and sit back to have a proper evaluation of what they should do as a sporting federation. That if we had a better stadium, this match that we went and play away from our home, I think it should have added more revenue to us. Look at the amount of money that we pay to such country just to play our games out there. It will challenge them to want to also replicate the same feat, the same stadium that those people have, so that they will be playing at home, having discovered the economic importance that they are losing. So for me, it will spur other countries. For example, Nigeria, for instance, right now, it is only one stadium that is approved that meet with the CAF required standard, which is the Godswill International Stadium out there. Do you know that some states like Cross River State, Lagos, Abuja, even Port Harcourt here, you know, they will be feeling it. Why? Because whenever the Super Eagles want to play right now, they take it down to you. And you know that everybody converses there in New York, and the economic benefit that you attract to you is massive. So some states here is challenged by that fact, and that will spur them up to look into their own house and see if they can be able to reinvent or recreate the same pattern of facilities that we saw out there, you know, in New York. So likewise, other countries, if you see that other countries have a better structure, a better facilities, and you don't have it, but you are paying huge amount of money just to make use of their facility, I mean, that naturally will spur you up as a country to want to do the same thing in your own country, so that you can also enjoy the benefit that is accrued to that. So for me, I think it's going to spur them up to start doing the needful.
I'm very certain that the organizers of athletics competition at the CAF, at the continental level are listening. And of course, what Mike has said will be, a strong panacea if we must move athletics activities in the continent forward. Away from that, now let's talk some bit of boxing, and it looks like a lot is happening. The post-undisputed bout is really eliciting a lot of reaction in boxing, and I can tell you for sure that not many, Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury, the boys, all are going to. There seems to be a lot of reaction already. One man who just vacated his bed a few days ago looks like I've also, added to the, when you put a fish, a particular fish, and you put salt, it boils. And since that's what's happening now in boxing, because Joshua is urging Tyson Fury to fight him But I don't like it when a boxer call out majorly. You know, could it be because I mean he's yet to finally lose the undisputed bout. He still has a rematch in the clause, and that allows him. So we can never say never. So I mean, why not allow him to lose again? Then you can now, because when he loses, he will be beltless, and by that time you can now start calling. But I'm wondering why all these scores are coming in. The other day it was the boys calling. Today is Joshua calling out Tyson Fury. I mean, for me, for mandatory challenge between Joshua and the boys. So a lot will happen. But let's move on and let's talk about other interesting issues. It is 4 days to the start of the Wimbledon. And if you ask me, Mike, I think that like we saw during the French Open, the hype is a little bit low. Qualifiers are on right now, but the Eastbourne being the only international competition, ATP and WTA now, it looks like it's not, if not, you know, pushing the vibe or not, you know, engineering that lightning that we should see in Grand Slam. It looks like everything is just quiet. The athletes are, some are recouping, some are reviving themselves, some are coming back healing, some are just preparing underneath. But I would have expected more hype going to the Wimbledon.
For me, I think after the French, Open gone by a few months ago, I think some of these athletes, some of these tennis players as well, some of them procured injury, which they are still on it. Some of them are still coming back and try to work on their fitness, and that is why some of these big names self is not taking part in this Eastbourne competition. And of course, you know that this competition is being used by some players that are not well ranked, you know, to also see if they can be able to get a seeding when the Roland Garros officially kicks off. And there has been a low form, maybe you say a low form of publicity, or because there are some of the big names are not there. That is why it looks as though that hype, you know, is not there. But then I tell you, some of the players as well, like Ima Raducanu, Cathy Butler, they are also using it as a stepping stone to build up their confidence, to build up their game, to keep themselves in shape for the Roland Garros that will be coming very soon. So for me, I think it's no surprised why it is not gaining the needed attention or publicity, because of the fact that some of the big names is not in this very one, courtesy of injury that took place. Some of the players as well want to rest after a very hectic season where they just play different tournaments out there. So I think this is majorly the reason why we are not seeing that hype, coming from the Eastbourne tournament, because some of these players is using it as a stepping stone, more like a dress rehearsal as well, to get themselves perfected in their craft for the Roland Garros that is coming forth.
Of course, with that now, we're going to a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk football matters. The Federation Cup is the next point of our discussion, and it is 3 days to the final or the grand finale of the President Federation Cup. Who wins or who leaves that trophy and picks the sole ticket to be part of the Confederation Cup come next season? All this will be yours in RGV.
Every day, our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics.
Nobody's ambition is what they blood.
I have fought very firmly. Natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody, and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
People into the country illegally. That is amazing.
Honourable
you human
on the point of order.
Honourable
They are not picking our calls. They made up their minds.
So no agreement with the EU, but
from the lines across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains. Through the Sahara, we bring on sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
Yeah, talking tough as well. So it's going to be a battle of the Warriors, but then one thing is certain. But I think I will give it to Abia Warriors. You know why? It looks as though for this year alone, the clubs in the Eastern region, they are doing pretty well. Enugu Rangers won the league. Enyimba International pursued Enugu Rangers till the dying minute of the game before giving up. Abia Warriors through to the final of the President Federations Cup. So if you take a look at all of these indices, you may want to say, yes, the Eastern club, they are doing something different, you know, that other regions are not doing. And that is why I'm just thinking, you know, Abia Warriors will have the day at the end of the, you know, the whole thing on Saturday, because we want a very effective and a very strong representation in the CAF, you know, Confederations Cup, so that they can also do us good. Because it's not about you winning the President Federations Cup here. You enjoy, you bask in the euphoria. Then when the CAF Confederation Cup kicks off, you just go out there to complete the numbers. You just go out there for jamboree and razzmatazz and come back. You know, so for me, I think that it's not worth it. We need a team that is very strong, that can be able to match up with the strength of any other club out there in the continent of Africa. And that is why I'm tipping Abia Warriors to go for the killer.
Abia Warriors should go for the killer, and we hope that they can reignite, you know, what they are known for. And if they do that, that would be historic for Abia State. Two teams, you know, being in the continent for the first time in the local scene. That would be majestic. And I think that while we praise the effort, while we celebrate the history, don't you also think that that would be on the business side of it? That would be very heavy for the government to sponsor.
Well, that, yeah, I agree with you. That may be very, very heavy. But then I think that is why we keep hammering on the need for some of these clubs to also find a way to partner with brands, partner with sporting enthusiasts, partner with people who have the passion, partner with people who can bring something to the table, even not money. Because partnering with a brand alone, many times you consider and you say it's about the money. Sometimes an idea, just a positive idea, will be enough to change the whole narrative. When you have a good idea, that good idea that is very sellable can generate a lot of money. But many times we just look at it that when you want to partner with people, you need to, you know, bring in money and all of that. No, of course money is very, very important, but then can you be able to think outside the box? What can you do differently away from the conventional thing that other people have been doing? So for me, I think partnering with other brands, partnering with sport philanthropists will go a whole long way to cushion the effect of, you know, pecuniary spendings for some of these Eastern clubs.
Pecuniary spending for some of these Eastern clubs, and that takes us now to the Nigeria Premier Football League, as the NFF has debunked that it has no connection establishing, you know, the contact of Harvey Renard to coach the Super Eagles of Nigeria, you know. But then it looks like a lot is ongoing. As it stands now, Mike, where are we now? We're still counting down to who becomes the new coach of the Super Eagles.
Where are we now? We are in a crossroad. We are in the deep sea of the ocean, in between the devil and the ocean itself, and that is where we are. After weeks of Finidi George throwing in the towel, and less than 3 months before the African Cup of Nations qualifier for 2025 comes alive, we are yet to, you know, get a substantive coach that is going to see if we can be able to remedy the situation. Talking about the World Cup qualification, which we find ourselves in a very, very tight group right now. So for me, look as though NFF, they are still playing the ostrich. They still just want to wait until the dying minute before they start the fire brigade approach, which has always been the bane of Nigeria here in terms of putting the right things at the right time. Finidi George have stepped aside. Why wait for so long when we have less than 3 months before the African Cup of Nations qualifier without appointing any substantive coach? When you wait until probably a month or few weeks before the African Cup of Nations qualifier, that is when we go and bring a coach. Then we expect that coach to deliver on the mandates of giving us the African Cup of Nations ticket. I mean, things doesn't work out that way. There needs to be a conscious and deliberate plan towards getting it right. Because if you don't follow the right trajectory, then you are bound to fail. Because if you don't plan, you are already planning to fail. Look as though NFF is not planning for the Super Eagles to qualify for even the next African Cup of Nations. The World Cup is another big issue that I don't know if we can still catch up, but then it needs special intervention of God, you know, and we also need pastors as well, because we are good in, you know, religious activities. So some of them should also put the NFF in prayer as well, and the, you know, Nigerian Football Federation in all, to be able to rekindle back the hope of we qualifying. So where we are right now is I mean, we are in a cul-de-sac, in the middle of the road where there is no end any longer. But then NFF can also help by getting us out of this you know, center of the road that we find ourselves, by taking the right action at the right time, so that we can be able to at least see if we can put our hope back on track for the World Cup you know, qualification stage, and also the African Cup of Nations.
Well, let's see how it goes, and I can tell you for sure that but on interim, I'm just wondering what is now happening. I mean, there will be FIFA windows,
yeah,
you know, monthly. What do we do with those FIFA windows as we prepare for the African qualifiers?
I think it's a big question that the NFF will need to answer, because I can't sit here outrightly and give us, you know, the plans of the schedule of what NFF is planning to do. Like I said earlier, the African Cup of Nations is nearby, less than 3 months. There's FIFA window. We need to play games. We need to play matches to also keep some of these players fit as well for the task ahead. But then, just a few days ago, when we heard that it was Muta, they are going for Javi Renard, I just come out yesterday to also you know, debunk that statement that they are not going. In fact, they have not made any contact with Javi Renard. So the question is, we are just folding our arms under our arms right now without taking any measure. Do you want to bring a foreign coach? Do you want to go for a local coach? What is the way forward? They are just keeping us mute. You know, so for me, I think NFF should do a lot in order to help us, help the sport-loving Nigerians, because football and sport generally, like I will keep saying, is a uniting factor here in the country. And whenever the Super Eagles play, it gives us joy. It gives people joy away from the economic hardship and what people are passing through. A moment of laughter, a moment of peace and joy, a moment of solace and catharsis will also go a whole long way to expand your life, you know, here on earth, because happiness goes a whole long way to increase, you know, the length of your life. You know, so for me, I think if NFF is probably putting all of these indices in place, they should start doing the needful, which is by taking a pragmatic action, get us a world-class coach, because we need a world-class coach right now to be able to salvage the situation.
We need a world-class coach to salvage the situation, and of course now that takes us now to where coaches are showcasing their prowess at the ongoing Euro 2024. And I can tell you for sure that the group stage is done and dusted. We now know those that have qualified to the next round, the round of 16. And yesterday, we saw the climax of all that played out in group stages. The biggest of them all is the shock between Georgia and Portugal. Not many saw that one coming.
Yeah, very impressive one from Georgia. And in fact, this is the first time in their history of taking part in the Euros of qualifying.
Yeah, they made a debut.
Yeah, for qualifying for the, you know, knockout stage. So for me, I think it was impressive against a sitting star-studded Portugal, who you think maybe is going to be a roller coaster ride for the Portuguese national team, but then it wasn't to be. And the football once again happened. That is what I keep saying when they say, are you surprised that a Mino, less fancy team defeated a giant? I will tell you, it is football that happens, because that is what football is all about. It must not always go the way you want it, and that is why those who play the white ticket kind of thing, they always you know, don't get it right, because many times you are projecting now, oh, this country has, yeah, this country has stars, a race of stars, therefore this other country does not have, it's going to be a one-way traffic. But then it doesn't happen that way, and that is football for you, and that is the beauty, that is the you know, ingredient that spices up football. So for me, I think I'll give it up to Georgia yesterday for their scintillating display.
And of course, you know that with what we've seen now, massive preparation, the big teams, as it stands now, we now know how the turn of event will be, the teams that will be playing themselves, and for the big teams that have not been able to live to expectation, the likes of England, the likes of, I mean, Croatia never lived up to expectation. even France, struggled. What would be your advice, or what do you think can be done now to rejig the system? For me, I don't judge teams in the group stages. What you need at that level now is just qualify. When things get going, just qualify and be. A lot can happen. I mean, a certain Ivory Coast did it. Nobody knew. There are big guns in the African system, but nobody knew that they can even qualify. It took them appeal. I mean, further from, is it Morocco, one of the teams in Morocco, that group that did them the justice for them to qualify as third best team in that group, and then look at what transpired later on. So I think that the battle will start is from the round of 16 stages.
Definitely, I wouldn't want to give much to the group stage matches, but then there is this local parlance that you use sleep to know how death is going to be. You start knowing how your performance is going to be right from the group stage of any major competition. Of course, 36 games played in the group stage, producing as much as 81 goals. They are having about 2.25% ratio of goals scored by each game, which for me I think is impressive. But then still meet less standard, still of less standard compared to what we saw in the last Euro as well. But for some of these big teams that have actually find it very difficult to stamp their foot on this year's Euro, I think it's a big worry. Teams like England that has arrays of stars in their ranks, finding it very difficult also, it's a big problem. Netherlands as well, struggling. France, Belgium, Croatia is already knocked out of the competition. So when you take a look at all of these big teams, look as though they are not firing from all cylinders, but then you can't actually judge them from the group stage matches. But then again, I think the group stage matches also should serve as an indicator to what you are to expect in the knockout stage, because if you don't do well in the group stage, then there is a possibility that indeed as the competition continues to progress on, you might not be able to also get back that momentum. It is always good for you to start in a very good footing, because when you do that, you have already established the fear factor in other teams playing against you in the knockout stage. Teams like Spain and Germany, I think they are doing pretty well. They have also created that fear factor in them. Anybody that is meeting against Spain will take a look at them and say, oh, this is a very strong team. A team that played 3 games during the group stage and won all their 3 games, 9 points, massive. So I think for me, it's a big worry for some of these big teams. England, Belgium, France, Netherlands struggling to also qualify from these group stage. But then let's keep our fingers crossed, hoping that there is going to be a change of narrative in the knockout stage. And of course, the knockout stage comes with a whole lot of passion. It comes with a whole lot of commitment and dedication, because it is one-legged game. If you are out, you are out. So there's no chance of redeeming yourself if you don't fail to fire from all cylinders. So I believe that the knockout stage is going to be more interesting compared to what we saw in the group stages.
Of course, we hope that will be interesting. Of course, when we come back tomorrow, we'll look at other trending stories. Many thanks to you, Mike, for being part of the conversation here. Ekpo Temple is my name. Do have a lovely evening. Bye-bye.
Oh, what a point to end it on.
So now this is when you're at the best.